They go to Storm. So this time around, it's Reality Rift without the best way to keep him in place, and that could work in favor of IO. Like, what does Reality Rift really have to keep him in one spot? They have Lift, and I guess Disruption, but there's nothing after Disruption. So you're in a tricky spot here for RR. They're going to need to rectify that with their next pick. Of course, the laning phase for Storm against Razor is not the worst in the world to play against for the Storm. He has to watch out for the static link chase, but considering it's range against range, it's not going to be as easy for the Razor to just run down.
Well, see, I mean, IO definitely a very clever pick in the Storm Spirit, like you mentioned. Final ban out's now to come. Clockwork will be the final ban from RR, so they don't want to have to mess around with this clock, who can just be very disruptive in these team fights.
I think that's a really good ban, mainly because you're playing against a Storm already, so you've got that long-range jump in. If you had the clock, you'd have a different frontliner. You'd have the clock in front jumping in, Storm to follow up, and that's just really dangerous.
It's a pretty disgusting combination, that's for sure. Again, the final ban from IO, they get rid of the Meepo, this time around making even more sense. Of course, with the Storm Spirit there, you definitely do not want to be versing a Meepo of all things. IO, how do you finish this off? Like, it does seem like they're still lacking an offlane hero. They could do something crazy like run an offlane Treant, but that's very unlikely.
5 seconds remaining.
I wonder what's suitable here for RR, or rather IO's. RR, they haven't really changed much up apart from the Razor. And, an Invoker comes out. So, offlane Invoker or position 4 Invoker?
I want to say, it's a bit tricky. I guess offlane could work. I mean, the Treant offlane could work as well. So you have that bit of flex, and I would. It's hard for me to really gauge because the Treant and the Invoker work quite fine as offlane or pause 4 when forced to. So we'll see what they do go for in the end here. I like that flexibility at the end. It does leave a bit of a question in my mind. They have a really solid first 4 picks, but the Invoker, if he doesn't get the space, EXP, and gold he needs as whether a core or support, he can taper off. I mean, he can have less impact than you'd imagine, especially with RR going for this kind of aggressive build again. The Abaddon shielding the Razor's running around getting the damage off. If they get an offlaner here that enables RR to just run straight forward, or a mid laner here, or a safe laner or mid laner here to give RR that capability to just run people down, then it is a bit of a timing issue for IO. Storm requires farm. Troll requires farm. Invoker requires farm. And RR, with what they have, the Abaddon doesn't require farm. Shadow Demon and Rubik just need EXP. Razor definitely doesn't need too much farm to be effective by 15 minutes in.
The question I have, though, is how do you close this out? Like, you need somebody that's going to be able to just go at the side of IO, right? Like, you don't want to get someone that just wants to farm the whole game here for RR. I agree with your sentiment. They've already got a pretty nice foundation here on the side of the Dire, but I'm just kind of confused. How do you finish this off? It just doesn't seem like there's a perfect pick to be made in that position 1 role.
It's a bit tricky. I'm half tempted to argue that you throw the Razor safe.
Okay.
Go for something else mid that could be a bit more aggressive. Or you go wild. Razor down mid, Abaddon on safe lane farm, get something that's more of a traditional offlaner and just run the game down. Husker, I don't think that fixes the issues you have with this draft. I mean, he can run down early on. The issue is the control is there from IO to keep that in check. They go with the Slark instead. So that's the smarter pick, right? It allows them to still be aggressive early on, gives them some options for scaling up. It doesn't quite lock in that Storm, but it is going to be interesting to see that one play out. It does look like Raging Potato is on the Snapfire, though. So,
the thing is, John, I apologize for interrupting here, but I guess with the Slark, you consider the Battle Trance, right? If Battle Trance pops off, it goes after someone that's tankier, like KYXY, Slark can just keep stealing stacks from Troll. As well as that, these team fights, especially during the mid game, from what I can see, look to be very prolonged. Looks like they could go for a very long time. So I think the Slark, I was thinking about it, but it didn't seem like the greatest pick up against something like the Storm Spirit, who could just zip out a pounce anyway. So I don't know. It could work well, right? Because if the fights go on for ages, he could just steal so much agility, and he could just become a powerhouse.
Definitely. The issue here is control. Slark does give you a bit of control. It doesn't do anything against Storm, though. That's the key takeaway. But if Ben-Hur doesn't get that good start anyway, then that's probably a non-factor in the first place. We'll see just how well Ben-Hur can play his mid lane matchup against this Alacrity's Razor. So we'll see whether or not he's going to get enough space for himself to really escalate up, or if reality were to just start running down. I'd argue Storm is just not going to be a factor if he doesn't find that early farm. And again, you look at IO's draft, it does feel a bit greedy, especially with that Invoker being played by Ohio. That is going to require a bit of investment from IO to make it work.
That's Pos 4 as well. I mean, Raging Potatoes on the offlane snap.
Yep.
It's interesting. I don't have much faith in a Pos 4 Invoker, I'll be honest. Maybe it's all the pub games that I've played recently, John. These support Invokers make me sick just thinking about it. But
I do recall a match we casted, I believe, where there was a support Invoker, and if I recall right, that did not end well. I think that ended in like 15 minutes. The last time we saw this pop out in our own cast, okay? So, based on what we've seen and had to talk about ourselves, it certainly hasn't worked. You do have potential for it, don't get me wrong. I understand the mindset behind the Pos 4 Invoker. In this case, with a Snapfire tree, a tree and 5, that is super greedy. These tree heroes alone need a lot of EXP. And certainly a lot of farm, especially that Invoker.
Not to mention, by the way, and I'm not doubting Ohio can play it, but of all the times we've casted Ohio, we have never seen an Invoker from... There hasn't been one time.
No.
I don't know what to expect.
He plays a beastly offlane. Like, his offlane's just great. It's just, in this case, yeah, it's gonna be something to watch out for sure. But RR, I mean, their lineup is much more traditional in the sense that you can kind of figure out what to expect. In fact, it looks like they might be considering throwing Drew down bot once more.
I don't blame them, because if they run a tri-lane up against this safe lane of RR, it could be disastrous for the Slark, right? Like, there's no way he sustains.
Yeah.
If it's a tri-lane.
It's gonna be rough for Slark in that case. He does walk up top in the end.
Okay.
So Drew is gonna be up there, but looks like they are maintaining the presence of these tree heroes up top first.
Fair enough. I mean, you're going to see Mushi. He's going to start dishing out harassment to Drew. Of course, Drew will just start hitting him back, but this is not Drew favored as Ohio moves in and has Cold Snap available if he wishes to throw it. I've got to say, I do like the fact that Ohio does go for the Blightstone as well, so that added minus armor with the Treant and the Cold Snap. It's just so much damage that he could pump out on this Slark. I'm very, very curious to see how Drew farms this lane. It just seems impossible. Here we go. The Cold Snap comes in. They slow him up. He doesn't have Pounce. He doesn't have Dark Pact. And he will survive. He will be forced to salve up. That's at level 1.
I think that's fine. Like, you're perfectly fine with that. The Treant is TP'd out of your lane anyway. You really just had to survive that one combination. And now Drew's going to be pretty happy overall. Like, I mean, you know, he had to waste a salve, but he's alive. He's not missing out on his first wave.
Ohio is still putting a lot of pressure on. And that Blightstone does pay some high dividends when you're this early on in the game. They're nuts. Spamming Shadow Poison, which is equally as, in fact, more hurtful, I'm sure. In fact, he has a Mango. He can go for one more. Misses the 5th one, though. If he could find it, he could probably just kill off Ohio by himself. And he will not land, and in fact, it wouldn't have been enough anyway. Would have been darn close.
It's a bit unfortunate, but this is really just how it goes when you're Shadow Demon, right? You waste your mana pool, regen back a bit, and just keep throwing out that damage to keep the enemies in check.
Oh, Hustler survives bot lane. They find Mushi, and now Miracle. He doesn't want to be in this position. It looks like he's gone.
Ooh. No. No. This is reminiscent of game 1. Didn't the exact same thing happen except Drew got the kills?
I think so. The difference is, though, I mean, going up against an Abaddon, even at level 2, that Aphotic Shield is very, very hard to get through. Hustler almost baiting them in the tree line like that, and they just take him out.
Oh, it's going to be rough for Io if this aggression is not going to be matched up. We saw what happened last time. At least this time Miracle is finding farm. He's actually finding farm, and they might even find his counter kill in Hustler, although the shield comes out and can't do anything.
Yeah, meanwhile, top lane, Nuts was getting rather low. Mid lane, Alacrity and Ben-Hur going at it as well. So everyone's having a bit of a fight with themselves. Not generally advised to try and fight a Razor 1v1. It usually ends up pretty badly. But bot lane, in fact top lane, Drew, he does get taken down. So Ohio does manage to find the first kill on the Slark with that Invoker. So it was a Cold Snap and Tornado that secured the kill. It's a nice little turnaround there for Io. Even though you lose the Troll down bot, you at least find this Slark up top.
Yeah, it's a little trade for them, at the very least. I think you're going to be a bit happier about that as Io. The Slark tends to not farm up as fast as a Troll. So slowing down the Slark early game is going to cause a few issues for RR, whereas Miracle just needs to farm up, and he does a pretty darn good job. With a hero like this, you're farming much better than you would be than, say, a Life Steward.
Well, Ben-Hur ends up going down in the mid lane. Alacrity finds him, and now Mushi falling very low, though KYXY falling even lower. He'll stick charge up and he'll survive. 1-3 now for RR, about 4 minutes into this game. Very, very close calls for this Dire side, but Io just not managing to find those kill secures at all. The top lane, they may find Nuts. Ohio is getting low and he has a lot of stacks on him right now. He'll Tornado. He will not cop the fifth one again. Nuts misses that fifth one, but finally gets it and gets the kill. Now Raging. He does get the kill eventually, but Drew should be able to get some permanent agility off this, and he will secure it for himself.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. At the very least, they did get that consolation prize on the Shadow Demon, but I'm sure he doesn't mind too much. Drew did find himself a nice little pick-off on that offlaner now. So the Slark having a pretty decent time up top. His farm is about tied up to that Troll, but with these kills, he's going to be much happier off.
Drew? I find Ohio does commit the pounce. He could just steal some stacks. In fact, he might just go for this, but no, the Ghost form is there. Sentry was dropped, but it was all too late at that point. One of the scary things, though. Luckily for RR, at the very least, Drew didn't go for the level 2 Essence Shift, so he doesn't hold those stacks as long. Feels like in this kind of lane, it may be worthwhile trying to pick that secondary level up in the Essence Shift early on, considering there's so much fighting going on.
That's fair enough. I think the added damage from Dark Pact this time around is a bit more pivotal. They just need to drop these heroes low, and Nuts can clean up as needed. So Drew should be fine. I don't think Drew wants to be up close to trade hits with an Essence Shift too much against two ranged heroes anyway. So the Dark Pact does allow him to find that burst damage as needed.
KYXY. Annoy Mushi here, who was trying to go for a bit of a pull, but unfortunately for him, it will be ruined. Well, same thing happens at the top lane. Radiant pull going on, Drew will disrupt, and he will go ahead and take the creep wave away. And they're just playing this perfectly, RR. They're really not allowing the side of Io to run over them in these lanes. Securing basically every lane. Even the mid lane, Alacrity's won by a mile. Which is, you know, fair, considering it's a Razor versus Storm Spirit. There's no way the Storm wins. But even the bot lane and that top lane, it's just all going the side of RR.
Yeah, definitely is. It's a bit rough for Io. they will start to pick up the pace once they have some levels up, especially on their Treant. Once that 6 is up on the Treant and the Snapfire, you can expect a little bit more aggressive plays coming out as it is right now, though. Ben-Hur early rotation on bot.
Yeah, KYXY does get the Aphonic Shield off. It's still a hard killer now. Alacrity's here, and that's a lot harder to go into now. Mushi goes down. KYXY, they're still trying to go for this kill, though. Miracle going to end up dropping in Ben-Hur. He doesn't have much mana, but he will be able to zip away just barely. Ohio will walk his way out. It's another 2 kills going to the way of RR, and more importantly, they found the position 1 of IO once again.
It's been a rough game for Miracle. Like, the lane matchup's been rough. RR has been putting most of their focus down in this bot lane for the rotations. They have left Drew up top, which allows Raging Potato to get some free farm. But it's not like our Slark is lagging behind too bad. It's certainly a better time than Troll, still.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Alacrity going after Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur does have an invisibility rune, so he will be perfectly fine. Still everything going swimmingly. Dire's side is... The one argument you could make is Drew's having a really rough time, and he certainly is. Like, Raging Potato has done a fantastic job of shutting him down, but look at Drew. Even considering the lane, he's going to move forward. He wants to go after Raging. Doesn't have any help around, though. But now, maybe with that broom handle coming out of the Razor, if he does manage to pick that up, things could get a little bit harder for Raging. Drew going to come in, cops a Scatter Blast. Here comes Nuts, and this looks like Raging is probably just going to die, as Drew does have Pounce available, does have Shadow Dance as well. He does try to throw a cookie, but Drew... Oh, no!
Oh, man.
And now Ben-Hur comes in to clean up.
Oh, that's disgusting. Oh, just point blank. No respect for the Snapfire burst.
It's a lot of damage point blank, 50% extra. I thought they were going to be able to take him out faster than that, but apparently not. And so now, I said all lanes were won by RR. I retract that statement. Top lane has been won by IO.
I don't think it's been completely won, though. Like, Raging Potato, he's having a better time, for sure. You haven't really shut down the Slark as much as the Troll's been shut down. Sure, you got that 1 kill, but, you know, Drew still had 2 assists under his belt and some AoE from that.
Raging tried to secure the outpost and deny the XP away from RR, but it cost him his life. He was top of the net worth board at that point as well, so it was a fair bit of golden XP going to Alacrity. Meanwhile, Hustler ends up finding Mushi but gives his own life away, but now look at Drew going after Ben-Hur. Stick charges are up as well, but Ben-Hur, they'll both just walk away. Neither one really wanted to risk losing their lives here. Drew didn't have Shadow Dance up for another 5 seconds at the time. They may turn now though, as Alacrity does move his way down, but unfortunately for him, the Storm Spirit does have plenty of mana.
Yeah, it's going to be rough to commit to the Storm as he is right now. Ben-Hur, he's had a pretty decent time. Like,
Look at KYXY.
2 kills. Oh.
Top lane, just chasing Miracle. Miracle's in a very similar position as last game as well.
Oh, yeah. In terms of farm. At the very least, this time they have slowed the Slark down as well to a considerable amount. It's just still not as slow as the Troll. Miracle's gonna have a rough time going into even a Battle Fury. I don't even know if you want to go that route. The build-up is just so slow.
See if he changes his mind. He bought something. It's just treads,
Just
so...
his threads, yeah.
Yeah. What other item options do you go for? Like, I guess you could pick up a quick Yasha in mid lane. It's a big kill on the Rubik. Hustler will go down. KYXY will try and force something, but gets nothing out of it. So Hustler his life away. Now, that's a big kill to give. The Razor, Alacrity in trouble. Disruption will be there. Mushi just holding him in place with the Snapfire ultimate. Isn't enough? No, a Phonic Shield comes in as well. Ben-Hur still trying to secure the kill. Alacrity, he does go down. KYXY could not save the day with Nuts, and they're losing quite a lot here on the side of RR. Looks like they're going to lose KYXY to boot. And IO, I mean, we doubted this draft, but they're starting to come up online. I'm surprised RR are losing these team fights.
It's a weird response from RR. They streamed in one by one. They knew the level 6s were up. They knew that combination would fly out. Once you have that root up, very easy to just lay those Mortimer kissers on. Like, the kisses just fly out. You can't dodge those kisses. They're just there, and it melts all the heroes in RR right now. Even that Razor. And Razor's usually naturally tanky, although you can't play with it. You just can't play around like that. So it's a good set of kills from IO. Does give them a lot more to play with. Gives them a slight net worth lead now. Reality Rift, they've got to reconsider what to do now as we approach the 15-minute mark in the mid-game.
Nuts is going to say hello over to Ben-Hur on the Storm Spirit, but Ben-Hur will not be intimidated. How's Drew going? Slark. It's like he's just picked up an Alacrity Blade, but top lane, KYXY, borrowed time. Gonna be popped again. Also got the Overgrowth back up on the tree, and so they may feel very, very confident to go for this kill attempt, as KYXY really needs to be careful without borrowed time, but they're moving everyone else in. Alacrity, he'll go onto Raging Potato. They almost find the kill, and they do in the end. Overgrowth is there, but now the Tornado coming out from Hustler. EMP going to try and slow them down, but they will not be slowed, as Mushi does find a double, and it looks like Ohio is the one that's going to be able to walk out of there. But on the bright side, even though they lose 2 heroes, John, they are still farming on Ben-Hur, they're still farming on the Troll. I suppose it's not the worst for IO.
It's definitely not. At the very least, you're still getting something on the map, although you do see RR kind of positioning around that bot lane. They did give up the Overgrowth to Hustler, so he's probably going to have that in the next fight as long as he doesn't die. And he can start off the fight with that Overgrowth now, which is going to be really potent for at least one use, and really scary, in all honesty. Hustler is actually rushing his own Blink Dagger now, which will allow him to get a lot more done for his team as well.
Meanwhile, Drew is getting closer and closer to that Diffusal Blade. Once that Diffusal's up, you could make the argument he'd still need perhaps the Ags to really make it effective, but that Diffusal can do work on its own. Top lane, KYXY again going to be the target. Does lose a lot of mana through the EMP of Ohio, but won't lead to anything. He still has borrowed time available, and he's got 2 supports behind him waiting to go. They'll have Overgrowth available on Hustler in 10 seconds, though. Ben-Hur jumps in once again. Fadebot will be there with the lift from Hustler. This tier 1 is not going down anytime soon. They do force out the rotation, though, from Alacrity on the Razor. But that's all they're going to get for their trouble.
They are wasting a fair bit of time by going for these rotations, even if it saves your tier 1. They're not finding too much farm on the Razor as yet. Then again, he is number 1 net worth still. They still are building up throughout all these movements, but
KYXY, again, jumping the hardest target here. He has borrowed time. They'll pop it. EMP does go as well, so he's out of mana. They won't have that protection, though. They'll go onto the tree instead. Mushi, he will pop the Overgrowth, but he's already dead. Now Ben-Hur, he gets Overgrowth up by Hustler. Do they have the damage output, though? Not while that ultimate's going on. Those kisses do a lot of damage, but Hustler, he'll still a Static Remnant. They just want to get out of there now as they've lost their main source of damage. Nuts, going to be the main target, though. No, Ben-Hur switches around to Hustler, but they still haven't killed anyone off. Raging, he will try to go after the Rook, but it is protected by a shield, and Drew, he'll come in and start trying to clean up. He doesn't have Diffusal Blade yet, but at least he will get some permanent agility hitting Raging Potato.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for IO at the very least. They didn't lose too much. That was just their Snapfire, which, you know, it's a core, but farm is not too pivotal on that hero at the very least. They're not giving too much away to RR still. I mean, it's 10 to 14 now. It's only a 1k advantage for RR, and the farm is pretty spread out. It's fairly even between both sides. I think the one outlier is the Abaddon, right behind every single core on IO. Beyond that, IO is actually matching up quite well.
Snared up, pounces there as well. He can't actually zip out of that, and he barely survives thanks to the Essence Ring. Whew. A very, very close call, but nice usage of the clumsy net coming out from Alacrity. One of those little things you've got to be worried about as a Storm Spirit. You get locked down like that and suddenly a Slark's on top of you. Raging. Up a fair bit of damage from Alacrity, but they're just going to go back towards that T1 tower. Mushi, considering the overgrowth, but will not throw it out quite yet. While all this has been happening, John, Miracle, he's been staying away from everybody, just farming up. He did opt to go for the Battle Fury build, and he is getting relatively close now. He has the Perseverance, close to the Demon Edge, and once that item's up, he can farm very, very quickly.
Considering the pace of the game, I can't blame him for going for this item. RR has not been playing a very fast-paced game as well. They have been happy enough to just farm up and try to build up in Drew. And that just means Miracle doesn't need to care too much about his own timings. He doesn't need to fight early on. He doesn't need the SMY or the Diffusal. He can go greedy with a Battle Fury and he's not being punished. No one is checking up in the jungle to take out this Troll Warlord anymore. They've just left him alone.
Alright. Gonna get jumped on KYXY. Gonna be in trouble. Borrowed time again being popped. This time around, though, they may find the kill. Overgrowth will come out. KYXY will have Phonic shield up. There's the Mortimer's Kisses flying in, though. Disruption will save for now, but he's almost certainly dead on the Abaddon, or surely. He is running away, though. Meanwhile, Hustler still zip, and now they get the clumsy net off again onto Ben-Hur. He's out of mana here. He can't really zip out very far, and Ben-Hur, he's just dead. They don't even find KYXY. The Scatter Blast, it doesn't even land. Raging Potato trying to run his way out of there, and Hustler going to be there with the lift. They're going to give more and more away. Chaos Meteor to fall, but it does no damage as it doesn't hit anyone. And Hustler with that zip moving forward, but he's out of mana. And now the buyback, Ben-Hur. He really wants to punish here. Disruption will be there once again onto Hustler this time around. He's still surviving, and now Mushi falling very low. They'll find another. No, the dieback. The storm's gone.
What?
And Drew finds a double.
Oh man, KYXY.
John, it's just
on the Abaddon.
It's this Abaddon pick, John. He just sustains so well.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how many heroes he saved in that last. He saved himself. He saved Hustler, which enabled them to bait in the Storm's buyback and secure that kill, going from a 1k net worth advantage to 5k over the course of that one fight. And suddenly, you know, IO, we could still talk about Miracle, he's just free farming down bot, but is that going to be enough if RR keeps this pace up?
I don't know. They find Raging. They won't lock him down. They've just got to have faith in their position one, it seems.
Oh boy, Drew.
Yeah, well, they get Mushi on the tree. That's going to be some more Agi. Overgrowth, thought about it, Raging, you need to get the hell out of there, so Drew is probably not going to back. In fact, he does, but he has 12 stacks available. Io cannot try to force a team fight around this tier 1 right now, because Drew is hitting way too hard with that stolen agility. They will allow it to go down. Going for more though, look at this. He still has those agility stacks. He could find Raging. In fact, they get the lift off. They have the pounce. A nice tornado is there, but they found the kill. And now with that pounce, go after Ohio instead. They don't have detection, so he will be able to survive that. But now you're talking 15 stacks, so that tier 2 may not be very safe.
No, it's definitely not. He just hits like a truck right now, and they can try to defend. Miracle actually shows up for this one.
He just got his Battle Fury, John. I'm not sure if that was the play, and now Ohio's dead.
Why?
I see that. I mean, it's just you don't want to allow these objectives to go down this quick, but they might lose a tier 3 here. The siege creep is, well, it was alive. But
I get that you want that defense, but you're a troll with nothing but a Battle Fury. You know, there is nothing you can contribute in these fights.
And the
You have nothing to do here.
The all chat coming out as well now from RR. They're really giving it to the side of IO.
Ah.
Drew's not even bothering with the Ags. He's going straight for Eye of Skadi, so he's basically going to try and force himself to that late game carry kind of build for Slark. Could always go for the Aghanim's later anyway.
Yeah, I don't blame him. He hits like a truck. He just wants to be a bit tankier so he doesn't get burst down. And that's going to be enough. He doesn't need that added mobility. He's been catching people out anyway.
Ben-Hur smoke up with the rest of his team.
Oh, this is going to be big.
He had so much gold for the Bloodstone before, but that dieback forced him to switch over to a BKB instead. That's not the position you want to be in as a Storm Spirit.
That scan just ruined that smoke. They could have gotten Drew, but he pulled out. Right, because they got caught at the bottom of the ramp.
And now a counter smoke, John. AOXY baiting in. IO, they've taken this bait so many times, they don't even need to take the bait. Alacrity, he just finds Mushi. And Mushi, no way out of this. It has no answer as the Treant. In fact, have they found more? They found the Snapfire raging. He does get defusals up, and he is almost guaranteed to die here. Nice Cyclone from Ohio, but... or rather Tornado, but it just does not matter.
Dire structures are fortified.
Well, they might even find more. Ben-Hur trying to split push the top lane and force them back. KYXY will go ahead and get the job done, though. He's not bothered by it. They'll go for Roshan instead.
It's fair enough. They need a way to force out these objectives a bit more. The issue is they have a lot of damage, they can sustain, but it's still a bit risky. The respawns are still fairly low. They do scout out that Rosh.
Fun fact, John, this is just about how my my Valentine's Day will look. Of course, the Roshan just swiping away. Very reminiscent of my wife.
She'd
tell her
kill
I
you
said
if she heard you.
Yeah, don't tell
I'll
her
tell
I
her.
said that.
No, I'll tell her. I'll make sure. I'll send a card next year. Just like that. Roshan gone. They are coming in for the contest. They are smoked up.
They may make it in time, though. No.
No. Just a bit too late.
If it was
I mean,
about
they
2
saw them.
seconds.
They had a Sunstrike.
What can you do, though? Like, when you're this far behind, you're 9k behind at 24 minutes in, you don't feel very confident to make the play. Well, we'll have a quick look at Dota Plus, and Dota Plus is saying 89% the way of RR. Is, I suppose, fairly fair.
Yeah, it feels fair enough. Slark, Drew has a Scotty up as well.
Arslar gets the Scatter Blast off. The slow is there on Miracle, but he will be able to get out.
And you just take a look at these 2 pos 1s. So far, Miracle rushing that BKB has nothing else. Treads, Battle Fury, 2 Wraith Bands, Stick. Drew. I mean, it's Treads, Diffusal Blade, Scotty. Like, you just can't fight the Slark right now. I think Miracle needs to stay away from these fights. He needs to find farm, he needs to split push like this. Don't go in for that base defense. Try to take that tier 2 if possible, if a fight does break out. He just can't show up. The last time he did, he got blown up for no reason.
I can't disagree with you. Especially considering Drew has an Eye of Skadi up, so matters are even worse. Alacrity does cop a cookie. Doesn't mind, as now we have the Curse of Avernus once again. They won't get the whole proc off. They do at least burn some mana from this Slark, but this tier 3 is not going to last long once he gets that curse, though. Nice disarm from Ohio. Really using his spells very effectively to hold them back. Now the zip in. They'll go after the Abaddon. He's run out of mana, but he does have borrowed time, so I don't think he's too concerned. Plus he has 21 charges right now. Nuts will disrupt, ensuring that ultimate does not get popped. And well, Drew trying to force them back himself. Rax is to be taken as well. Mushi will be alright. He did get spotted by that plasma field, but he'll walk out in time, as Drew is just freely going to take this melee barracks. I just don't see how they jump in here. In fact, they found Mushi, so Overgrowth's gone. He has buyback. He needs the buyback now if he wants to. KYXY though, they jump on him, but he doesn't die. He's in a baton. They know he's the problem, but they can't kill him either. Drew, gonna jump in, Miracle, gonna be the target. He has Battle Trance if necessary. He pops the BKB. He may need to pop it, and he does, straight onto Alacrity. But the cookie is there from Hustler this time around, saving his Razor. And now Drew will jump in straight after the buyback on Mushi. Try to get that dieback going, and Drew, can he find it? He definitely can. This could be GG as Miracle is getting jumped on. The Troll's gone without buyback. They found the Storm once again without buyback. And this could be it. And yeah, they just call GG. I don't blame him. It just feels like they're way too far ahead.
Yeah, for sure. RR, they just understood what they had to do. Both games, they run drafts that they're comfy with. They give Hustlers Rubik, which is always a pleasure to watch. I'm not sure why that's not an insta-ban against RR at this point. But IO, there were signs of life there in game number 2. It's just, it wasn't enough. They tried something different with that pause for Invoker. Unfortunately, not enough done there to really give them that edge, and RR will move on to the upper bracket finals. For our qualifiers, IO still have one more chance. They just have to beat TNC.
They certainly do. Because every team basically has a secondary chance here, so IO up against TNC is it the next matchup? I've just got to check the timing here.
Yes, it should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately for us, John, that's it for us today. Luckily for the stream and for any Cyclops fans out there, Cyclops will be taking over to cast TNC versus IO in any game after that. Of course, John, you and I are going to be busy with another tournament qualifier. Of course, the Chinese qualifiers for ESL tomorrow, so we will not be returning here. But it's always a pleasure, John. The games were fantastic today. Any last words before we leave the stream over to the capable hands of Cyclops?
Well, hopefully everyone's had fun. It was a pleasant day of Dota 2 for Southeast Asia. And thankfully enough, no internet issues so far for our teams. Hopefully it holds out. Of course, if you enjoy the cast, you can follow me and Mike on Twitter at johnxfire and at MLP Dota. I believe Mike mentioned he has a Facebook as well. Just search, what is it, Mike?
Oh, it's MLP Dota, but it's not really, there's no info on it, so it's probably
fine.
It's fine. You can follow it. I'll do the info sometime today. Anyway, thank you for that, Jonathan. We'll see you all tomorrow if you do tune into the other qualifiers. Otherwise, please enjoy the minor qualifiers. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you guys next time.